But I want to talk about my Commanders versus the Chargers. Again, BRF, again, champ. I did not pick the Commanders to win that game against the Chargers. I just felt that, you know what, Jaden Daniels' first game back, how he would look. He looked relatively okay. There were some beautiful throws that he did make, though. But I was very, very, very impressed with what I saw from the Commanders defense. They made things difficult for Justin Herbert that day. It was a long day for Justin Herbert at which one point they had to bring in Trey Lance. In that game, Justin Herbert, 22 of 29, 166 yards, one touchdown, one interception. He was sacked 4 times in that game. And look, champ, I told you about the young running back. Let me see if I can try to get his name. I think it's Merritt. But this is one of the reasons why I had no problem moving on from Brian Robinson Jr. because either that we would have to pay him money, and I didn't want to do that if I was Washington, given his durability problems. I'm sorry, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 14 carries, 111 yards. He also had 2 touchdowns in that game. Debo Samuels, 8'4", 96, and a touchdown. The deep ball that Jaden Daniels threw to Luke McCaffrey helped us out a lot as well, man. But Justin Herbert, yes, I mean, obviously he's going to get some blame. He's going to get some criticism, of course, because he is the quarterback of the team, and they look at his lack of playoff success, BRF and champ. But I look at this team, man. I look at Washington. I still think they can compete and win the NFC East because, like I said, it's going to be hard for that team to win that division back-to-back years. I am kind of concerned with Jaden Daniels' play a little bit and the injury. Could it be because of the sophomore slump? Who knows? But BRF, I'll let you go first. What were your thoughts on the Commanders-Chargers game?
That game, that game was won by Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt and that defense. Jane Daniels really didn't have to do all that much in that game because Washington's physicality pretty much dictated that entire game. Really, especially after the beginning of the third quarter, where their physicality really kind of took control. That Dan Quinn mindset, fast and physical, and they showed that second half was Dan Quinn in a nutshell. If you want to put on some game tape and you want to illustrate what Dan Quinn is as a coach in like 2 quarters, it was that second half of that game, the way they played and the way they got after Justin Herbert. They took control of that game where you're thinking LA might build momentum and kind of take control. Washington were having none of it. And whether it was, and I mean, forcing turnovers, getting sacks, tackles for loss. I mean, Washington really took control, and then Krosky Merritt, his running ability, he's a solid runner. He's a solid back. Can catch out the backfield, can run between the tackles, can take toss sweeps. He's a solid back. So, like I said, that game was really the testament of the coaching style of Dan Quinn, and it's almost like how he's improved as a head coach since his run in Atlanta. Like there are some things he could need, and there are things he could still get better at as a coach. His time management still isn't the greatest, but you can kind of see where he's made strides in that since his Atlanta run. But he's at the end of the day with Dan Quinn, his defenses are going to go out and they're going to hit people for 4 quarters, and that defense is taking on his mindset, and you could see it in their play. You could, especially the second half, you could see it every step of the way. That defense is all Dan Quinn. Um, as far as the Chargers go, I mean, you hate it for Justin Herbert having no Joe Alt, having no Rashawn Slater. You hate it for him. And then on top of that, Omarion Hampton went on IR, so he's guaranteed to be out the next 4 weeks. So that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt him from a standpoint of just not having a reliable backfield guy. I mean, Kamani Vidal is decent, but I mean, look at Omarion Hampton. He's not Omarion Hampton. You already see the potential of what Omarion Hampton can be in this offense, and you're not going to have him for at least the next month, guaranteed. So that's going to hurt. So now this basically all falls on the shoulder of Justin Herbert again. And I will say this, though. Quentin Johnson finally is looking the part this year. He's been playing his butt off this year. He's finally looking the part. I mean, like Lad McConkey's Lad McConkey. I mean, he's going to be that slot guy. He's going to run those routes. He's going to make the tough catches. He's good as far as after the catch. And then Keenan Allen. I mean, come on, man, it's Keenan Allen. It's Keenan Allen. He's like the fastest to 1,000 catches or something like that. It's Keenan Allen. Yeah. He's always going to be that reliable outside perimeter threat that can pretty much do it all. He's not what he was at his peak, but he's still a really, really good wide receiver. So this is gonna fall on Justin Herbert and this ability to distribute and get those three guys involved with his offense, because I don't know how much of a running game they're going to have with Omarion Hampton being out and missing your bookends in Alt and Slater. That offensive line is going to have a time of it. So if Justin Herbert can pull this rabbit out of the hat and keep the LA Chargers competitive, I mean, he's looked really good so far this year outside of those losses to the Giants and Washington. If he can keep this up and he can keep the Chargers, afloat and really in it for that AFC West title, bro, we are definitely talking MVP consideration with Justin Herbert if he can keep this team afloat. But I mean, hey, it's Jim Harbaugh. He's been in pressurized situations before. He knows how to handle. He's been there. He understands what they're about to go through with these injuries. So it's going to be on him to be able to really coach this team up and have a next man up mentality with his tackles and with Kamani Vidal, who I'm pretty sure is probably going to be the starter now with Omarion Hampton being out. So it's going to be up to those coaches creating good game plans and getting them in situations where they're able to produce to the highest of their ability. But yeah, that game was just all Washington in the second half. They really just, I mean, I hate to say they pulled the punt card out on the Chargers, but they really did that second half, and they really kind of forced their will on them, and the Chargers couldn't do nothing about it. I mean, they couldn't counteract anything Washington was doing. So shout out to the Commanders for really, really making a statement. They made and like especially after week 4 against us, they needed to come back and make a statement. And against a team like the Chargers, regardless of who they were missing, they still have Justin Herbert, who's one of the best QBs in the league. To make a statement like that on the road, that's a testament to the resiliency of the Washington Commanders. So definitely shout out to them.
Big fella.
Coaching. Man, Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury did a hell of a job. Remember, Jayden Daniels didn't play in this game. Jayden Daniels didn't play in this game.
He did play against the Chargers.
But there was the Chargers? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, the Chargers.
Oh, my bad. I'm thinking about the damn Ravens. I apologize. Excuse me. I'm thinking about the damn Ravens. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, my bad. But damn, I lost my chain of thought. My bad. Let me reset this.
Were you distracted by Joy Taylor? Is that why?
No, man. But let me rewind myself just a little bit. Number one, you got to think about coaching as far as Dan Quinn is concerned, man. If you really want me to be honest, this team is still finding itself because people thought that the league had caught up with Jayden Daniels for a minute, and you heard it over the course of the first couple of games, which to BRF's point, man, I'm just going to be real. We got to stop in the sports community, and I'm guilty of it as well because I'm always looking, and the reason why I'm guilty of it is because I'm always looking for a darn story. I have to be honest with you. I'm always looking for a story, looking for a narrative and things of that nature. I'm guilty of it. We have got to stop when 2 games happen. Oh, my God, the lead is caught up with them. No, they haven't. So let's just keep it all the way 100, and let's just give credit what credit is due. And big ups to that new running. Oh, y'all, you know your running back this week. He was offensive player of the week, right? Ground player of the week, right?
Yes, and I also tried to tell you this is one of the reasons why I had no problem moving on from Brian Robinson Jr.
Yes, I was getting to that as well. And look, Deebo Samuel's also looking good in this offense.
Yeah, because he stopped hanging out with you. You used to call him Manos de Piedra. Y'all were hanging out at daiquiris and po' boys at one point, but he's gotten
He
in excellent shape.
Yeah,
he's in the contract year. I kind of told y'all this too. That boy in the contract year, he was gonna show up this year.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, the best way to show up is look. I need some more money before I end my NFL career. This might be the last big contract that I ever get. So guess what? I'm 30 years old. I only had one All-Pro Pro Bowl season. So yeah, now's the time to get me another fat contract. But big ups to them, man. And look, I feel sorry for the Chargers. I hate to regurgitate the same information that BRF stated, but when your team is being depleted like it is now, it's very, very hard to stay competitive. It's hard to stay competitive. You know, Marion Hampton, your offensive line, just to name a few. I mean, every time your pass rushers are out, to my knowledge. And yeah, it's kind of hard to stay competitive. Now, luckily, your receiving core is pretty good, and you got to look. Everybody keep talking about Keenan Allen, man. Look, man, let's not forget that boy from Georgia, Ladd McConkey, because he's a dog as well. So he has on the receiving side the capability. I'm just concerned about his protection, man. And that's look. And I hate to keep going back to the offensive line, but that's a lot of things that you're seeing this season that's going on with a lot of quarterbacks this year. Joe Burrow is a prime example of that. And then I think it's going to get worse for the Cincinnati Bengals because they literally just traded for an Oldsmobile when it came to Joe Flacco. He's immobile. I'm just being real. He's an old look. He's an Oldsmobile. You had a Cutlass and you traded it in for an Oldsmobile. That's just what that is. So, you know, you had the Cutlass Supreme, then you traded it for an Oldsmobile. And that's just what it is. It's getting progressively worse. Patrick Mahomes, same thing. Now, Justin Herbert. It's hard to be successful as a quarterback when you are not protected by your line. When you got a clean jersey, you can go to the club every night right after the game because your jersey clean, everything's all good. But when them defensive linemen and everybody is constantly in your face, knocking you to the ground, pressuring you, forcing bad throws, that takes a toll very quickly. Very quickly. So, hey, Washington, I'm loving this ascension by them, man. And I'm going to just be real. I'm loving it because the thing is, not only do I love it for Magic Johnson and Josh Harris, this is a legend. People forget that Washington is a legendary franchise. Back in the day, you only saw three teams that was really on TV back in the 70s and, you know, back in the 70s. And that was Pittsburgh, Washington, and the Cowboys. They're a flagship franchise in the NFL. And because of the suffering that they had to overcome over the years, from the death of the late, great Sean Taylor, who had the potential to be the greatest of all time, to dealing with so much gosh darn ineptitude when it came to Dan Snyder. Good God. Spending hundreds of millions of dollars in free agency every single year. Ain't nobody paying out except for a select few, mainly London Fletcher.
We don't need to bring up Albert Haynesworth.
Albert.
Hey. That's what he looked like.
Moving forward. But yeah. The Washington Commanders franchise suffered a lot. They suffered a lot. And not to mention, man, they're going back home to Washington, D.C. You know, after all the ratings and everything that was going on in the city of Washington, they're going back home pretty soon. And so not only do you have stability in the front office, you have stability in coaching. You have stability for at least the next 6 to 10 years at the quarterback position. And you're about to go back home to your home stadium in RFK Stadium. That's something that those fans have been craving for years. And I'm happy that it's finally come into fruition and it has finally come to pass. because this is something. Look, when Washington, Dallas, Pittsburgh, those flagship franchises are winning, it's a whole nother flair to the NFL, a whole nother just to the NFL. So I'm glad the Washington Commanders are winning. I'm glad that they're taking steps in the right direction. And look, like I stated before, everybody kept criticizing Cliff Kingsbury back when he was in Arizona. Look at him now that he has a very, very cooperative quarterback. Look at him now. Don't be surprised if he ends up with a head coaching job very, very soon, another opportunity for it. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with this Washington franchise. I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. Bring back the old uniforms. Don't bring back the name.
Interesting. They're gonna actually. I don't know, champ. I don't know if you saw their away uniforms, the alternate away uniforms. Did you see it by any chance?
No, I ain't see them.
Let me see if I have it for you real quick, but I'll continue on because I am a diehard Washington Commanders fan. I love it. We were gonna have some struggles because Washington, look, there was nowhere to go but up.
Yes.
There was nowhere to go but up. Down for Washington after the year that they had last season. There was nowhere to go but down after having the year that they had last season. But there was nowhere to go but up, considering what we had as an owner in Daniel Snyder, who to say that he was horrendous, champ, does not put it into proper perspective or context. He was a train wreck. He was a cluster. We don't need to detail all the off the field issues that he had. We don't need to discuss the sexual misconduct allegations that Washington had transpired. Obviously keeping the name of the team for so long. The horrible free agent moves, one particularly Albert Hainsworth, and then Josh Norman. Remember when we got him, I think 5 years, $75 million, I think for like 50, when we already had Ryan Clark.
Exactly. Terrible.
So it was terrible. It was horrendous. It was awful for the Washington Commanders. And, it just, I know I keep stuttering, but I just couldn't take it anymore. Hell, I just wanted to throw away my TV. That's how difficult it was being a Commanders fan, being an absolute laughingstock, because it was either the Giants, the Cowboys, or the Eagles. But you didn't really think much about Washington. Then we were starting to have a little something when we had RG3. But then RG3 with his durability problems and then the style of offense that he didn't want to play anymore. But now with the new ownership, with Magic Johnson, with this team, Dan Quinn, who I was also skeptical of, because again, you looked at, I'm sorry, BRF, sorry, champ, his days back in Atlanta, but he's done a hell of a good job. Cliff Kingsbury, who at one point wanted gone, because again, I don't trust him during the second half of the season in terms of making adjustments, but he's proved me wrong. And Jaden Daniels is obviously coachable. Because I'm sorry, at this point, you talked about Kyler Murray and his immaturity and everything else going on with the Arizona Cardinals, and we'll actually get into that. Oh, by the way, champ, these are the new uniforms with the Commanders.
Damn. Them smoking right there. I like them. Like I stated, they did just what I just said. They brought back the old uniforms, but then bring back the name. So that's good.
These are the away uniforms. I hope they bring out the home uniforms, but if they're going to do the new stadium, I recommend one thing. Please do it with grass, not turf, because you see MetLife Stadium. You know it's one of the worst stadiums to play because you saw what happened with Malik Neighbors. You saw what happened with Aaron Rodgers. You've seen a plethora of players who have been injured at MetLife Stadium. So if there's one thing I do recommend for Washington, please have actual grass.
Yeah, that's the worst. MetLife Stadium is the worst stadium since Veterans Stadium. And you really, if that's saying something. To be honest with you,
Because
remember
Veteran
how
Stadium was trash.
no, it was just concrete. And they just put some damn carpet up over. So that's all they did. If no, look, you're laughing, but I will
Right.
never forget. I will never forget. I will never forget. Brian Billick literally refused to play a Monday night game live on Monday Night Football due to
I
how
remember
bad
that.
turf was. That's how bad it was. It was freaking horrible. It was freaking horrible. He literally refused to play a preseason game because of how bad that turf was at Veteran Stadium. There was no better joy in the NFL than when the Tampa Bay Bucks went to the vet and shut the vet down. They shut the vet down. That's the first thing Keyshawn Johnson said when they beat the Bucks. We shut the vet down. No more vet. Because, that stadium was terrible. Quarterbacks would actually have to look at the ball first, look back over their shoulder to make sure it was a soft spot. It wasn't a soft spot before they even hiked the ball. Warren Jaworski used to have to do that every game. So between MetLife and Veteran Stadium, the old Vet Stadium, I don't know which one was worse.
Well, I mean, you seen the laundry list of injuries, man. You saw Odell, Aaron Rodgers, Malik Neighbors, a couple other players I forgot off the top of my head, but I mean, it's just crazy. But back with Washington, I think. Look, all I know is for Commanders fans, we're with new ownership, and this is only just the beginning. We have a lot of more work to do, but I'm very happy with the direction of the ownership. I'm really happy that we found our franchise guy in Jaden Daniels, because at the time I wanted Drake May, and Drake May is off to an impressive start so far for New England, and he's done a really good job.